Good morning. Good morning. Getting ready to walk out the door. Just grabbing my shoes out of the closet here. Yeah. My old lady has a little bit of a Monster energy drink issue. Anyway, check these out. Chicken skin potato chips. Salt and pepper. Deep fried chicken skins. That's it. No additives, no nothing. Less than 1 carb. Kitty cat wants in. Hey, what are you doing? Come on. Come on. Come on. You silly girl. You have food. Nope. Put some more down for you. I want to share a question with you that somebody asked for my opinion on. And it was whether or not you're supposed to get along with all your coworkers. Is it okay for that one guy to not want to be friends with anybody in the shop or in your business or wherever you work, as long as they're getting their job done? They're not really friendly with other coworkers and stuff like that. They just really like staying to themselves, really not helping anybody else other than just being to themselves. So I'm gonna flash this on the screen real quick here for you, and then read it. Question: should you be friends with your coworkers? We have a guy at our shop that says he's here to work, make money, support himself and his family, and not make friends. This guy is kind of a meathead, and none of us really care for him. Not even management. I believe that you can be friends with your coworkers, be productive, make money. I know it's unrealistic to get along with everyone you work with. What's your take on the subject? Are you friends with guys in your current shop? It would be an interesting video. Am I friends with people at my shop? I absolutely am friends with people at my shop. Am I really close and talkative? And no, I'm not. There's one guy at our shop that I don't really talk to all that much. He's a nice guy. He is a little bit more of a serious person. He doesn't like a lot of small talk. He doesn't like a lot of you can tell he may get bothered a little bit by questions, but he will help you. He doesn't complain about helping you. He's just a different kind of person, but I don't take it out on him. I just realize that's how he is. He's not a very talkative person. He's not a person that he wants to have big, long, drawn out conversations. Every once in a while, he'll come out of his shell and he'll talk to you about stuff. So, in the beginning, whenever I first met this guy, I thought he was a little bit of a jerk, you know. I even had said something to him one time because he was being a butthead to me, I thought, and I didn't realize that's just how he was. And I told him, I was like, why do you got to be short with people so often? And why do you have to, you don't talk, you never say anything to me, you never do. And I was like, I just think you're kind of an ass, man. And he came up to me and he was like, I don't really have a problem with you. I don't have a problem with anybody. I'm just not a big talkative person. I'm not a big conversation person. I'm more of a listener, and I don't mean any disrespect by it. That's just how I am. And he was like, I don't want no problems with you. And I was like, you know what? I feel like a jerk now because I didn't even try to understand this guy. I didn't even ask him any questions like, hey, you're kind of quiet. Is there a reason why you're quiet? It's just how I am. And I feel bad, for that because that's literally how he is. He's a nice guy. He'll help you. He'll answer questions. He may be somewhat, it may seem somewhat disturbed when he answers your questions. That's just how he is. Should you be friends with people you work with? I think you should. Is it a requirement? No, absolutely not. When that guy sat down for that job interview, it didn't say on that job interview, do you agree to be friends with Rich while you're working here? It didn't say that. You talked about doing a job and completing a task. And as long as you're able to do that, you're hired. Nobody has to be nice to you. Nobody has to help you. Nobody has to be your friend. Um, as long as the job's getting done, that's why the company hired the guy. But then there's also the other part of it too, where you're going to work as a team. You're gonna be there for the team. So, you know, I've dealt with that type of stuff before. The last dealership I worked at, the shop foreman had no experience wrenching on anything mechanically. He was like not an engine guy, not a trans guy at all, not even really so much of a brake or a suspension guy. He was just simply a decent interior guy, and he wasn't even really that good at that. And he was a jerk, complained about everything, didn't want to be anybody's friend, always talked down to people and stuff. Whenever they would come speak to him and ask for help, he wouldn't just randomly talk down to people, but it was when people would entice this to come out of him. And he was just an asshole, man. But I learned that that's just him. He doesn't have to be nice to me. He doesn't have to be nice to anybody. It's not why he was hired. As long as the company finds that he's somewhat fit in doing what was required of him and what he was hired for, that's all that's required of him. Does it make for a bad situation when there's somebody that's being a jerk? Does it make the team, function less efficiently when somebody's being a jerk? Absolutely. When you have that guy that you work with, it's almost like, why even work here? Why even work here? Were they desperate when they hired you? Everybody else gets along but you. You're the only one that doesn't converse, doesn't talk to anybody about anything, doesn't want to go to lunch with us, doesn't want to have anything to do with us. The guy's right. He didn't get the job to make friends with everybody and have long conversations and walks on the beach and gaze at the sunset. It's not what he's there for. But it is nice to have a guy that is part of a team, that jokes with you and laughs with you, and maybe will eat lunch with you from time to time and not take everything so serious. And it just makes for a better team building environment and work day flow. But when you run into a guy like that, sometimes they're assholes, but they're really good at what they do. You have to understand that. Sometimes they're assholes and they suck at what they do and they're not worth keeping. It's something that you have to ask yourself. As a company, does this guy benefit me? Does this guy make things easier on my pocket and getting the job done? Is the customer happy with the work that's being done? Okay, so yes, they are. Unfortunately, the rest of the employees are going to kind of have to deal with it because I didn't employ him here to be their friend. I employed him here to do a job. At the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to. The other stuff is just a bonus, whether or not you get along with him or not. So to answer your question, yes, I've worked with people like that. No, it is not required. It's kind of unrealistic to expect to get along with everybody the same or be friends with everybody. Yeah, you're going to run across people like that, and you just have to deal with them. Maybe eventually they get better. Sometimes they stay the same. Does it suck dealing with somebody like that? It absolutely does. It makes for a rougher day sometimes. But at the same time, I just choose to not deal and have as many conversations with people like that. I can control how my day turns out just by realizing what I'm working with and what's around me. And then I plan accordingly. Just don't talk to him. Try to have conversations with him. Don't ask him for help or anything like that unless you desperately need it. Yeah, there are people like that. And there's really nothing wrong with it as long as it benefits the company and as long as the customer is getting what they're paying for. The bad thing about that is the company's never going to be able to rely on him for any kind of team building stuff or a team work effort when it comes to maybe a company project or something to that extent, or him teaching some new guy without him making the new guy feel out of place and wanting to quit his job. So, as long as they're okay with hiring him to be self-centered and be to himself and not worry about anybody else or get along with anybody else, that's all the company really hired him for. But if they want him to be a part of a team and team building and training and kind of being there for everybody else, then he's probably not the right fit for the job. But there's nothing really wrong with being that way as long as you're adhering to company standards. Morally, ethically, I'd like to deal with a person that wants to be better than that. But coming from a company standpoint, business standpoint, as long as the company's okay with him being that way, there's nothing anybody can do or say about it. That's what he's hired for. Y'all be blessed. Take care.